us a gubernatorial hopeful. Cynthia Nixon is going to come and speak to you and talk to you about the need for legalization of marijuana in New York State. I'm honored. I have the pride, the joy, the honor of introducing her. There she is, everyone. Round of applause. Let's hear it for Cynthia Nixon.
Hello, everybody. I'm Cynthia Nixon, and I'm running for governor of New York State. And I don't know whether you heard this or not, but I want to legalize cannabis in New York State. And I want to do it first and foremost because it's a racial justice issue. If you are black or Latino, you are 10 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis than if you are white. And that's not right. That's not what we believe in New York. And that's not what we should believe in the United States of America. It will follow you for the rest of your life, that arrest, and it will make it harder for you to get a job, and it will make it harder for you to get a place to live. And if you are undocumented, it will put you in the crosshairs for deportation, and we don't believe in that in New York State. Cannabis, arresting people, particularly people of color, for cannabis is the crown jewel in the racist war on drugs, and we must pluck it down. We must expunge people's records. We must get them out of prison. And when I am governor, and when we legalize cannabis here, we will be sure to prioritize those communities of color for the licenses to sell cannabis. That's one of the reasons I'm running for governor, including better schools, including more affordable housing, including fixing our subway. If you believe in these things, I want you to go to CynthiaForNewYork.com. I want you to donate. I want you to volunteer. And most of all, I want you to vote on September 13th. This year, with Donald Trump in the White House, we don't just need to elect more Democrats. We need to elect better Democrats, and that is why I am running for governor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia Nixon, for being with us. Thank you. We've spoken all day long about the importance of registering to vote, getting out to vote, getting out your message, right? This is the way that we ensure that the people who are in office are voting on our behalves, all right? Everybody, we've got a couple amazing guests coming on up. We're taking a little bit out of order. Let me see who we've got right here. I think I see him. Here's the gentleman I met a few years back when he was involved with Legalize Now New York. I met him there. He's another true believer. Raphael Espinal, is he over here? Here's Raphael Espinal. Here he comes to the stage, our city council person. But he's another real deal, true believing guy, because as I said, I met him when I met Jimani Williams, and they were involved literally in bringing the message years ago, and they would come and travel to our PAC meetings, and they would speak about legalization. Raphael Espinal, city council person, serving Brooklyn, am I correct? Yep. And thank you so much for being here. Big round of applause, Raphael Espinal.
Thank you so much. Is Brooklyn in the house? That's right. Oh, holy cow. So I'm Raphael Espinal. I'm a city councilman from Brooklyn, and I've come to this parade many years over because I believe in the cause. We must legalize cannabis now. It's important we stick together, organize, make sure that we're getting our voices put together so that the governor can hear us. There's no more, not another year can go by that we continue putting people in jail, that people continue to feel like their rights are being infringed upon. This is the year that we have to legalize marijuana. So let's make it happen. Legalize marijuana.
Thank you. Brevity's the soul of wit. That's what they say. I got to work on that. Rafael Espinal, amazing Rafael Espinal. Now we've got a treat. We have a musical treat. We have a Guyanese singer, and he's going to sing a medley of reggae songs, Bob Marley songs. Ishmael Levy. Is Ishmael Levy ready? Do we need another minute or two for Ishmael Levy? Ishmael Levi. Excuse me. This is amazing, though. Like I said, we got so many people that do so many things. And what we're going to do is maybe while they set up, we're going to introduce another speaker and see if perhaps what we can do is we can have Justin Streckles speak, or Jean Van Dusen Lang, actually. Remember I mentioned that group, POT, Patients Out of Time, before? They're amazing. They're like one of the original advocacy groups founded nearly 20 years ago at this point. Patients Out of Time were one of the plaintiffs, not me, one of the plaintiffs in the most recent DEA rescheduling petition they filed with Americans for Safe Access, pushing the DEA to come to a ruling on cannabis. But it's been my honor and privilege, it is my honor and privilege to stand here, former Normal board member, advocate for so many years. How are you?
You're watching act.tv's. No, but I'm going to just give you a couple of bumps and then I'll do an out. Okay. I guess, okay. Okay. You're watching act.tv's coverage of the New York City. Hi, everyone. You're watching act.tv's coverage of the Cannabis March and Parade Rally today in New York City. I am lucky enough to be able to talk to City Councilman Jumaane Williams. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, you're going to be speaking in a little bit to the crowds about the importance of cannabis legalization. And we don't hear that as much as maybe people who want it legalized would like from their elected leaders. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. You know, it's you know, sometimes it takes so many people just to catch up to what's right. And people don't do what's right just for its own sake. They have to have the politics behind it, and they have to have polls and all that junk. And it's very frustrating because I've never been one to do policy by polls. I've done policy by what's actually right to do. And the legalization of marijuana has been right for decades. And actually people know that. And so across the country, we have been decriminalizing it for the very same reason that folks are now saying legalize it. People just didn't want to cross that hurdle for whatever reason. They wanted to hold on to some fake sense of morality. But now we're moving in that direction. New York City and New York State likes to claim to be a progressive mantle in this country. And now they're lagging behind, which is often happens more often than people would think. But when we talk about the legalization, we have to also talk about it obviously as a social justice issue. One of the things I want to make sure continues to be
a lot of really big money that was in other things,
and expunge the record of
oil.
Many of the people who may be either in jail or have criminal records for selling something that everyone knows was decriminalized and we're now going to be legalizing. And it's very important that that remain a part of the debate.
And what kind of services should we offer people instead of just taking them out of jail and loosing them to their own recognizance after having been incarcerated? I think we're going to have to support the people into finding jobs and all of that kind of stuff.
One thing we should do is not what we did in New York State. We passed a form of legalization, medical marijuana, very limited. In some cases, they took out the part with even being able to smoke. It's very weird. But they put something in there that says if you have a criminal background, you can't even take part in benefiting from selling it, which is ridiculous. And so we have to make sure that there's no barriers to being accessing the ability to sell this. And so what we're maybe creating is having put people in jail for selling marijuana, now legalizing marijuana, maybe not exploiting their records, and not allowing them to sell the thing that is now going to be taxed and sold. So people who are trying to feed their families and put a food over their head, again, will be locked out of doing something legal and may have to find something else. So let's think of this as a holistic approach. We are now viewing these things so much different, but sometimes when it comes to poorer communities, Black and brown communities, we don't see the equity that we should. And so we have to provide the resources that bring people up to equity. One is going to make sure they're not barred from participating here. And obviously, when you let people out of jail, you have to have resources that help them reintegrate into society as a productive resident.
So after it's legalized,
free advice. So find me, I'll give you free advice. All right, come on down. But now, Ishmael Levi is going to be performing for us. The Guyanese performer is going to sing a couple songs for us, amazing hit songs. So, round of applause, please, for Ishmael Levi. Round of applause, Ishmael Levi. Test. All right. How you guys feeling? Red? So my name is Ishmael Levi. And my band is called The Chosen Few. We are Ishmael Levi and The Chosen Few. So you guys give me a little clap like this. No sunshine in my day today. I So before I get into this next and last song, I want to introduce you to my band. So on violin we have Miles Gittins. Give it up for Miles. On percussion we have the one and only Spuddy Roots. Give it up for Spuddy Roots. On bass we have, on bass selector, we have the Red Law, aka Soul, for Red Law. And my name is Ishmael Levi. We are Ishmael Levi and the Chosen Few. The Chosen Few is spelled THECHOZNPHEW. We're going to get to the next one. And you can find us on Instagram or Facebook. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Justin Streckel. And Justin Streckel, for those of you that don't know, is the political director of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, also known as NORML. He's a federal lobbyist who dedicates about a third of his waking hours to lobbying our elected officials in Congress for change, whether in standalone bills or in appropriations bills. He's an awesome, awesome guy, and he literally is somebody who we see as a future leader in this movement, an extraordinary fellow. Justin Streckel, where are you, Justin? Justin has also got for us today an amazing announcement. Justin Streckel.
Hey, thank you so much, Joe. Hello, good afternoon to everybody out here. It's a great sight. My name is Justin Streckel, and I'm the political director for NORML. And woo! And I'm not going to waste your time telling you what you already know, but I want to give you a little bit of the insight of what's going on right now in Washington, D.C., because I have the very good fortune of being able to stand on the shoulders of the hard work done by activists and advocates over the last 80 years to change these laws. So give yourselves a big round of applause simply for coming out and saying that prohibition is bullshit. Right now, we look around, there's something in the air, and it's something that's not legal. And what we're not seeing is we're not seeing arrests. Right now, over 20% of this country lives in a legal market where individuals can go from place to place without worrying about being harassed, without being worried about being thrown in jail for having a dime bag in their pocket. That's incredibly important. At the federal level right now, we have the votes to end marijuana prohibition. We have the votes in the House of Representatives. We have the votes in the Senate. What we do not have is the political will and leadership of the gatekeepers in our representative republic. But we're getting there. We're getting there thanks to the leadership demonstrated by your own senator, who took a long time to get there. But he only got there because of the work of committed activists like yourselves, committed activists like Empire State NORML and CCA and the Drug Policy Alliance and so many others. So we are right now experiencing the death rattles of prohibition. And in the death rattles of prohibition, what happens next is incredibly important. It's what kind of an economy do you want to see? Do you want to see a concentrated economy with very few number of companies that look more like the people down on Wall Street? Or do you want to see the business owners be more reflective of who's here? So that's why I'm very, very excited to bring up our friends from the Cannabis Cultural Association. We got Jake, we got Nelson, we got Joe, we got Leland, we got Amanda, and I am very, very proud to announce a new partnership that we are entering in for CCA NORML, so that way NORML can lend the brand name that is known throughout this country as the leader in the fight for the reform to these young leaders and Joe, so that way they can go around the country, and that way they can carry this fight in a better way in the halls in Albany, in Massachusetts, in Maine, in New Jersey, in Connecticut, and throughout the country. So I want to thank you all so very much for coming out. I want to thank CCA, the Cannabis Cultural Association, and what is now going to also be CCA NORML, and commit all of the support that we can to lift up not only them in their new chapter, but Empire State NORML and the 168 other chapters throughout the country who do the tireless work of reform. There is a lobby day on Tuesday, Tuesday, May 8th. If you haven't signed up, you're fucking up. You need to sign up. The only way we will win is if you are heard. And the only way we will be heard is if you demand it. So thank you so much. I'm going to say free the people. You say make it legal. Free the people. Make it legal. Free the people. Make it legal. Free the people. Make it legal. Thank you all. Support CCA NORML. Support Empire State NORML. Support the Drug Policy Alliance. Support yourselves. Demand reform. Yes.
Thank you, Justin Streckel. Brethren, sistren, it is pretty apparent that we love each other, right? The CCA was forged in closeness, and we've accomplished so much this year. I mean, oh my God, here's the board, here are the co-founders, here's the president, the vice president, our PR wing, everything. Come to our events, listen to our speakers, get out our message, click the button on the website, be a member, be involved, go to our lobby day. I am going to leave you and find my table and start to give free legal advice to those of you that need it. But it's been a complete honor to be here with this audience today and to serve as your MC for this little part of the show. I'm going to hand the mic to Nelson Guerrero, who I love so much. All of you know our story, and another co-founder of the CCA, and he's going to announce speakers. He's going to be here. He's going to thrill you literally for the next hour with everything he knows. Nelson Guerrero, there you go.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, my team from the Cannabis Cultural Association. Thank you, Normal. This is a huge step for the movement, moving this in the right direction. What's going on, New York City Cannabis Parade 2018? Can I get a si se puede? Because it's Cinco de Mayo. Si se puede. Right on. It's with great honor that I get to announce our next speaker from Lake Erie, a gubernatorial candidate who has experience with this medicine, former county executive in Erie County, Buffalo, who is representing the Reform Party this year for governor, Joel Giambri. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, New York City. How's everybody today? All right. Well, you've already heard about all of the reasons why we need to end prohibition. But I'm going to tell you about the politics of it now and how you can be helpful. I spent 25 years in elected office in Buffalo, 7 years as a Democrat, and the rest as a Republican. And I'm going to tell you firsthand that both party leaderships are full of shit when it comes to this issue. I have been involved in this effort for a long time. I want to commend Noah and the entire committee for putting on this event. I believe that right now we are in the fourth quarter, the 11th hour, of getting adult use of marijuana passed in New York State. There's one obstacle, my friends. There's only one obstacle, because even Republican elected officials are now starting to talk the talk. They're not all walking the walk, but at least they're talking the talk. But we have one person in New York State who is opposed and has been stopping this effort for 7 years now. And his name is Governor Andrew Slow-Mo Cuomo. He's a little bit slow on this issue, ladies and gentlemen. Very slow. But I'm here today to tell you that the tide is turning. And with your help and your support and your willingness to help get people out to vote, not Democrats and Republicans, the traditional voters, but the non-traditional voters, we have a chance of sending Andrew Cuomo home. But it's going to take a lot of effort and all of your support. I am running not as a Democrat, not as a Republican, but as a candidate who wants to represent the Reform Party here in New York State. And just in a few minutes, you're going to hear from the chairman of the Reform Party, a person we all know and love and respect, Curtis Srila. And Curtis Srila is taking this party in a new direction, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a chance, take a look at the Reform Party platform. I think you'll fall in love with it. So I learned after 25 years in elected office that there's no such thing as a bad speech. So I'm going to cut my remarks short because I've been here since 10:30 this morning. I walked in the parade, and I've got a pretty good buzz on right now. So it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for your support, and don't forget to vote, and let's send a message to Andrew Slow-Mo Cuomo. It's time to allow adult use of marijuana in New York State. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much to our sponsors. Without them, we wouldn't be able to be here. Sensi Seed, Etain, Curve Paper, and of course my friends at Flower Power Coffee back there. What's up, everybody? And also a big shout out to our coalition partners, CCA Normal, DPA, Women Grow, SSDP, Empire State Normal, High and Wide, Hemp Industry Associations, Cat and Gather, Patients at a Time, great event coming up on the 10th, Green Party of New York, the Minority Alliance, of course our friends at Rebel Minded Society. Thank you all so much for coming to this event. You know, the reason I'm here is because this plant saved my abuelo's life. This plant has really given so many patients an opportunity to continue to be here. But let's get the music going again, and it's with great pleasure that I present 3 Pete here who's going to sing us a little song.
All right. Well, I thought I was going to start you guys out with a little joke, because I think that people will be probably a little bit more susceptible to laughing right now. What do you guys think? Yeah. All right. And can I get somebody to help me adjust this so I can mic up my guitar here? Is that cool? Yeah. All right, so let's start with the joke for this. All right. So there's this koala bear, and he's up in a tree.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching our coverage of the Cannabis Rally and March Parade here in New York City. I'm happy to be able to talk with Executive Director of the Cannabis Cultural Association, Nelson Guerrero. Nelson, thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So can you talk a little bit? I know this is such a great event. Can you talk a little bit about what the Cannabis Cultural Association is and does?
Yeah, so the Cannabis Cultural Association, or CCA for short, the good CCA, is the 501c3 nonprofit based here in New York. What we're really about is empowering, educating, advocating for people of color to get involved in the legal cannabis industry. In space, we focus a lot on ending the stigma and creating some social justice change as it pertains to cannabis and people of color. Because unfortunately, we make up the prison system when it comes to the plant, but don't make up the legal industry, and that's what we're really trying to change. That's what we're all about.
I noticed that before we started the interview, you and I were talking about the desire to change the narrative around both this parade and cannabis in general. Can you talk a little bit about that?
100%. So, you know, a lot in the media when it comes to cannabis, it's usually the bong, the big giant joints. The reason the CCA got involved this year with the parade and rally is to try to change that narrative, to actually put a different face on this movement going forward and make it really about social change, to get people active, to get politically involved and create change that really needs to happen around this plant. That's what our organization strives for, and this year specifically is to really change that message that, look, this is a movement, and it's more than just about getting high at the park. This is about creating a change and sparking it here in New York, because what New York does, the rest of the world seems to follow. If we can really start changing that message, our legislative administration will hopefully do right by the people and legalize this plant here in the city and get our brothers and sisters out of jail.
I noticed that in the Facebook page about the event, it talked about, the prison system. And can you give people a little bit of, I'm sure people who are watching probably know this, but if they don't, can you talk about the connection between cannabis and prison?
Yeah, I mean, cannabis has been used systematically for the last 80 plus years to arrest black and brown folks, unfortunately. It's for minor arrests. And here in New York, we have thousands of people getting arrested at a disproportional rate. If you're African American, you're 6 times more likely to get stopped for consuming cannabis. If you're Latino, like myself, you're 4 times as likely. And depending on which neighborhood you live in, it's on the officer's discretion, even though we do have decrim here in New York. At an officer's discretion determines whether or not you're going to be arrested and brought downtown. And, cannabis arrest is a misdemeanor or felony in most cases, and that can really hurt you when it comes to housing, scholarship opportunities, and really can affect you going forward. And, if you're not don't have the economic know-how and legal know-how, these arrests, even though minor, could change the entire trajectory of your life. That's what we're trying to change. And, in our communities, cannabis is seen as a gateway to prison in many senses, and that's what we want to change that narrative to. that, with this new legal green rush coming, to have our communities involved and more than just being unfortunately being part of the criticism, but being part of this legal new industry and moving it forward, because this is what will create reparations and equity for our communities moving forward.
Can you talk a little bit about the impact on people who use cannabis, marijuana, et cetera, for health-related issues?
Definitely. Legalization. And here, so I'm going to talk specifically about New York. We have one of the most restrictive medical programs in the country. The Compassionate Care Act is the farthest thing from compassionate when it comes to patients. Our prices compared to any other medical state at the moment are some of the highest.
Well, maybe act,
That's a good way to put it. The reason why legalization is so important is to really get away from the illicit market. And also drive some of these prices down. Unfortunately, here in New York, a lot of even though we do have a decent amount of medical patients registered, a majority are still using the illicit market to have access. And this is, legalization is about creating access for the people who need this most, patients, and also ensuring that we're fighting for our patients' rights. When we have students and underage adults who are using cannabis to treat their various illnesses, that they can still have access in the schools that they're going to. And at the same time, also just creating a wider range of research and access to different patients, so that way we can actually find out what treats what better for each patient. That's what's one of the main keys to legalization. It'll allow a lot more openness to this and get access to the patients which need it most.
So having traveled to other states where marijuana is legal, my understanding is that if you have a condition, you sort of have to do your own research and figure out which type of marijuana or what ratio of CBD to THC will work for your particular issue. And you were just saying that legalization would help with research. Can you talk a little bit about that so that people don't have to do their own research? There might be some, actual literature people can turn to, et cetera. I know there are, people doing that and putting out what they know, which is really a service to the community. But can we talk a little bit more about how people can access information about how they would be able to treat their own things when there's not very much of that now?
Right, and unfortunately, it's a lot trial by error for most of these patients. In New York, you get a referral and a recommendation, and it's really trying to figure out what works best for you. The way we look at it when it comes to legalization is also including home grow. Charlotte's Web wasn't a big pharma created strain. This was originally a home grow strain. There's a lot of these different strains that start at home, and that's why legalization is so important to protect that home grow. Because a lot of some of the best research is usually done at home. And
what does Charlotte's Web treat? The type of marijuana is called Charlotte's Web, right? That's the type of.
It's a type of strain that was used originally a lot for epilepsy, but different variations of that strain have been used to treat different ailments. And that's the thing. When we have these tight-knit markets, you don't have that access to research, extra research.
So what it comes down to, which I think it's helpful when they draw the line, is basically when you have a drug or when you have a plant substance that can treat epilepsy, by not allowing that to happen, you're allowing both adults and children with epilepsy to have to continue to suffer with epilepsy, or to choose something illegal or have to get into an illicit market in order to treat their condition. That's what we're talking about. We're making it illegal for people to treat a condition with a with a solution that obviously works.
Unfortunately, that's the current reality that we live in.
It's clear to everyone, because I think the recreational use issue, why is it so important to have both recreational use and medical use just be free and open to everyone? Because I think that's what the other side says is we'll use it for medical purposes, but recreation.
It's really about access. And if we compare apples to oranges when we talk about other adult use or recreational type substances like alcohol and tobacco, cannabis is the only one that actually has some medical efficacy compared to those two, even though we're currently treating it as a drug and trying to compare it to alcohol and tobacco. When it comes to legalization, it's really about access, and it's important to have both a medical and an adult use program, because there are some people who are using it for specific ailments, and they need to have a specific strain, a specific type of ingestion. Some people do better with tinctures versus vaporizers. the luxury of having an adult use market, it's, again, creating a lower barrier of entry, so the price for this medicine drops, as we're starting to see in some of these other states. But at the same time, it's allowing more creativity to happen in the market, where we have niche growers creating different strains that people will not have access to, that might be the key to somebody's ailment. And that's the beauty of this plant. There's so many variations to it that can really just save so many lives. I mean, that's how I got into it. My grandfather's has a stage 4 prostate cancer, and it was cannabis tinctures, a very high ratio of THC to CBD, which has kept him in this fight. And 3 years later, he's still at the same PSA number, and he's kicking ass.
Wow, that's really impressive, because that's a very deadly disease, and I wish him all the best. We're talking to Nelson Guarino, Executive Director of the Cannabis Cultural Association. Any final thoughts for people watching considering this issue?
To get involved, get active. If your current local politician isn't for cannabis, even on the medical side, maybe it's time that we start voting those type of people out and getting the right type of people in, so that way our legislative bodies can do right by the people. Because people want this legal, people need access to medicine, and there's a lot of people locked up here, wrongly locked up at the moment, that need to be free and need an opportunity to work in the industry.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
That was great. You did great.
So he could eat. This is 1979. This is 1980. This is how long I've been on this train. It's a long time. So when Nixon talked about how she wanted to legalize cannabis, I thought, oh my God, this is great. I have a celebrity endorser. And then I realized, no, she was just copying what I've been talking about for years, which I'm happy about that. That's amazing. I'm very happy about that. But the reality of it is, they say that imitation is the highest form of flattery. Well, Nixon, I am flattered. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. There's more to just letting people smoke marijuana, though, particularly in New York State. There's also letting people grow marijuana and grow hemp, not just to sell, not just to take, but also to grow. Now, I know when you say that, people say, wait a minute, Larry, you can already grow hemp. No, the regulation here makes sure only the cronies, only the big business can grow. No, no new laws, no new regulation. Hemp and marijuana should be regulated like onions. No difference. If you can grow an onion in your backyard, you can grow hemp or weed in your backyard. If you can grow onions in your farm, your family farm, you can grow hemp or marijuana on your family farm. So it's more important to not just say people can have, but to also say people can grow. And it's not just cannabis, it's also hemp. But I must go one step further. It is not just that, it is also to sell. How am I going to sell my hemp, sell my marijuana? Do I require licenses to do that? If we do that, guess what? The big business again begins to win. No, what I want us to do is I want us to regulate that like a health food store. Health food stores sell good stuff every day. Why aren't they selling marijuana? Why aren't they selling cannabis products? No licensing, no. Just like health food stores, no difference whatsoever. There are 3 parts of this. So what can I do as governor to make that happen? Number one, what I have to do, no matter what, is begin right away, within the first 90 days, to tell the Justice Department, to tell the police force to stop enforcing. It should be the lowest, if not zero, priority, period. But there's a second issue. There are people who right now are suffering because they were arrested because they have a plant in their pocket. I must begin pardoning all of those people with possession charges. I must pardon them within the first 90 days. We must pardon and let them know this is a waste of our time and energy. This is wrong, and people are having their lives ruined for no reason. And on top of that, not only must I do that, I must push the issue, push it hard, that we have to deregulate marijuana and it should no longer be a Schedule I drug. This is a huge problem we must break, and someone who's in the governor's pulpit can do that better than anybody else. If you understand, this is not only about let's have adults who want medical marijuana. No, this is about letting us know that cannabis is the same as onions. that cannabis is the same as aspirin, that cannabis is a way of growing our state, it's a way of making people free, it's a way of growing jobs, it's a way of increasing our tax base without increasing taxes, and it's a way of making people happy in their life. What you choose to imbibe in your body, which you own, is up to you. Whether you use that to heal yourself mentally, physically, or spiritually, that's not my concern. And if you believe that to be true, there is only one candidate in November of 2018. That is Larry Sharp for governor 2018. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Larry. And again, thank you so much to our sponsors, Sensi Seed, Etain, Flower Power Coffee. This is a great pleasure that I get to do this next. As a Latino, my parents are originally from Ecuador. I was born here, but I'm the son of immigrants. Para mí, esto, growing up, it was called, la hoja mala. When cannabis got brought up to me with my family, it was marihuanero, narcos. This never had a good connotation for me growing up. And it wasn't until this plant became such a central part of my life and saving the life of my loved ones that I finally was able to really embrace this at another level. And the fact that the next person up, the next artist we have up, is also Latino born from Peru, known for his revolutionary style and also a native New Yorker now who resides in Harlem. In just a few moments, we're about to get really, really lit in here, and I know it's not 420 yet, but everyone better be ready to turn up. Can I get another CSEP player? Let's legalize this. Because when New York legalizes, just like with alcohol prohibition, that's when all the other states are going to legalize. And then Latin America, the world, we're going to legalize this shit too. So are we ready to go? Well, this is a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you again to all our coalition partners in the back. And without further ado, the man of the hour, Immortal Technique, give it up! Woo! Cinco de Mayo, Cannabis Parade, NYC, make some motherfucking noise. I'm gonna do a little talking, but not right now. Let's get into some music real quick, and then we'll do some. You ready, Static? Set it off! Let's go, New York! I see you motherfuckers getting high in the balcony. I see you. I see you getting high up there. Light that shit up! Guerrilla war is not to succeed. It's always been just to make the enemy bleed. For the peace of mind that they need. It's hard to telegraph when they bomb and they read. The only way our guerrilla war can ever be over is when the occupation can't afford more soldiers. To trap the last of you into the service, and you refuse because you don't see the purpose. The way to counter the insurgents that are well equipped is to beat the people fighting for freedom and terrorists. Find a faction looking for foreign investment, install it in power and murder any objection. You can't stop a revolution from freedom, so to beat them, all the people, illusion of freedom. When you're done dreaming and wake up, talking and reason, you can see them, hiding behind the gun and believe it. Even the trenches in the heart of a war, that's the place the order is born. Motherfucking sword! During the night before the start of the dawn, that's the place the order is born. Motherfucking sword! Shots parading in the heart of a storm, that's the place the order is born. Motherfucking sword! Guerrilla war when the army is born, that's the place the order is born. Motherfucking sword! Make some motherfucking noise! New York City! This is a beautiful thing that we're gonna do today. Please don't try to do this on Monday and get yourself arrested thinking that you're hot like that. But one day we will be here smoking no matter what the fuck happens, because it's time for some transformative justice. And when I say that shit, I need you to understand what that actually means. It doesn't mean just restorative justice. It's not just about giving somebody their voting rights back. It's wiping away those convictions, taking people out of life sentences who are just there for smoking a plant, for self-medicating, veterans that are now hooked on heroin because they can't afford the pills, so it's a $10 bag of heroin or it's some marijuana to take care of the bone splinters and all the fucking pieces of metal stuck in you. That's not right, that's not fair, and we're better than that as a country. Stop putting people behind bars for a fucking plant. What kind of fucked up fascist shit is this? Get the fuck out of here. You ready? There's some people, oh yeah, drop that, man, I don't care. Drop it, whatever. Yeah, immortal technique. Poison pain, yeah, SPCF. Yeah, we gon' show them out, run them out. We'll get the blast, nigga, motherfucker shit out. We gon' show them out, run them out. We'll get the blast, nigga, motherfucker shit out. Brooklyn, New York City's where I'm from, nigga, fuck that. No, you there, man, they right. All of them, back like I was locked up, word and word, burning through books like Nazis in the Catholic Church. I'm cursed like Cain when he murdered his brother. Cut your face off and wear it while I'm fucking your mother. I'm more so Tony, Avenger, the God of War. If you don't believe in me, I doubt you believe in God at all. I breathe smokers, fire, the gym sight. That'll make you hate the way Allah made you to live right. Niggas that be bleaching they skin white. Other people's teeth in my head after a fist fight. I was born with a sixth sense and a swift right. Skin werewolves and rape demons and midnight. Sell your kids into slavery after we murder you. Sacrifice them in the same fire we murder you. Barbarian funeral, nigga, you wanna know. Damn the river, bury me and let the water flow. Chaos, mayhem, chaos, slay him, alright, wake him, great rock, chase him, pandemonium, insurgent, best bird time with the best bird hunt, pillage, kill him, erase history, make them a mystery. Listen. I work with a lot of different political organizations. And whenever I talk to my brothers and sisters that say they're allies on the left, I always remind them of something. That the people of Central America, South America, Africa, I respect a lot of the philosophies that I see, but we didn't actually need someone to come to the dark jungles of Latin America and Africa to teach us the complex concept of sharing. We know what that was. We know what sharing and collectivism was before Marxism. We knew all of that. We can go back thousands of years about our people and our indigenous culture. And I must say something else. There may have been problems back then, but you know what we never did as indigenous people? We never charged somebody their life savings for fucking medicine. We never tried to put somebody in jail for self-medicating and curing their children of cancer by giving them droplets when the chemotherapy is destroying your child's inside. Get the fuck out of here. We have a right to life. We have a right to this plant. It was put here by God, motherfucker. Fuck you if you don't like it. Get off the planet. There we go. That's it. No more rap. No more talk. Play some music. Let's take it back. Put your hands up, put your fucking hands up. Put your hands up, put your fucking hands up. Put your hands up, put your fucking hands up. Put your hands up, put your fucking hands up. Operator goes down into rip on the earth. Right next to the slave castles where water is. But where police brutality's not average night. It makes the hood in America look like paradise. Compared to the age of the Caribbean song. African streets of the past more than American gone. But when they massacre people and try to keep it quiet and spend the next 25 years trying to deny it. Also when they cut their hands off and keep it go fit. And niggas don't come up because the job market doesn't exist. Except slave labor, modern day companies. The peacekeepers don't ever come here no more. For murder bombs that they used to drop on Vietnam. Till I choose it for a D4, they go before they go. Also when they lost the true meaning of the Quran. Cause terrorist is not compatible with Islam. Niggas throw that for both bodies in any way. We got parachutes to stop comes every day. I'm from where people pray to the God that they conquer. Practically every president's a money launderer. From where the only place democracy's acceptable is if America's candidate is electable. And they might even have a black president, but he's useless. He does not control the economy. He's doing it like a loaded gun. We're from the third world. There's many places from the third world war. Gorillas can't run. We're from the third world, son. We polluted everything and now the third world's gone.
Shout to my Jersey people we're here.
Let's do it, let's do it.
BX, Queen, Staten Island. Uptown, what up?
Oh shit. Harlem is in here. Is Uptown Manhattan in this motherfucker? I love y'all, man. Be safe going home, man. Be safe going home. We don't want nobody getting locked up tonight. There's 3 places you can always end up whenever you leave your house. The hospital, jail, or the morgue. We don't want anyone here going to any of those places. So when you leave here, please travel in groups so you don't get picked off by these vultures. You know what I mean? Make sure that you protect one another. And make sure you look out for the ladies in the crowd, fellas, for real, for real. There ain't gonna be no disgusting nastiness happening here. You see a nigga acting like Harvey Weinstein, you smack him in the mouth, yo, you know what I mean? Be like, yo, act right. Fuck out of here. Zero tolerance, nigga. Yo. You already know, oh, Joey. Drop it, man, drop whatever we got. Shout to Peacemaker, shout to my man Hans, shout to Lil Digger. You already. Respect. Woo. Oh shit, yeah, really? Say money, money, money! Louder! Money, money, money! Money, money, money! Yeah! It's the rich man's world! From a day point of learn overseas, pension for the workers, they are bleeding, investment, and a kick private settlement. I'm better with Confederate rhetoric from my mansion in Connecticut. What goes with the cold and a tenement? I twist words like a speech impediment. All we got good credit is this. I better get a new job with benefits while I play golf with niggas that get shut over. New money runs there, new carrots. My old boy from the great grandparent. You got grooves in your mouth, I ain't mad. I'll never go mine in South Africa. Next baby, your baby, a billion. Roll a building. Ladies, what am I children? That's the shit. Fuck up in the witness, USA, suck my dick. Yeah, what? Fuck the law, cause real jails for suckers. I go to country club, prison, you dumb motherfucker. It's a rich man's world. You know my CEO overseas. Please overthrow governments overseas in a breeze. Politicians in my pockets for a few hundred G's. So if I'm ever in court, my assets are never free. New York City, Long Island, Connecticut. What are we doing? Niggas is b-boying? You got the b-boy up here? Hold on. Shouts to DJ G. Bring in all the elements. You gonna cut some? You gonna cut some up for him? Yo, listen. Oh, you trying to take it to LES real quick, right? Shout to LES in the building. LES and the niggas in the building. You ready? Lord. You ready? You ready to take us there? Let's take it to the next level. Let's take it to the next level. Are y'all ready? Let's count them down from 3. Ready? You ready? Are you ready, motherfucker? Make some noise for my brother DJ Static. This is not... Listen, later on, right before we leave, I'm going to have him do a special showcase for you. So some of you in the crowd that grew up before hip-hop, you know what I mean, made that transformation to whatever the fuck people are trying to pass it off as now. This is a real DJ. That means it's not just a person that presses a button on the radio, all right? It's a real fucking DJ. It's kind of like the difference in between a sperm donor and a real father, and the difference is you gotta put in work, motherfucker. That's the difference. You can't just press one button and think that's gonna work. You ready? Yeah, drop that. Are y'all ready? before Elijah Muhammad and Muhammad. Kill the dinosaurs, changing the earth. They love to criticize, always say I changed with a word. Like prescription pills when you misuse them. Temporal nights when they twist the rules of the finger. Figured out what was buried under Solomon's temple. Al-Aqsa, the name is not the words in Daniel. I know too much government trying to murder me. They're coming back like cutting your wrist, storing murder. I'm going to serve if you purposely put it on the country. Getting engineered sickness, spread them all to heat. My people are so hungry, they attack without reason. Like a fucking dog ripping off the head. The mortal technique, reason to the Patriot Act. Come and get me, motherfucker. Not coming back. This is the way for which I can never return. If I back down now, then forever I burn. This is the way for which I can never retreat. Cause if I turn back now, they can never be free. This is the way for which I die. Live in the struggle. I know I'm alive, but I'm bleeding now. It can never be the same as before. Cause the place in the front doesn't exist anymore. Thank you. I just want to send a big shout out to my people from the Free Mumia Coalition. Free Mumia, it's been too long. I want to send a big shout out to the people of Palestine. Free Palestine. I know I've seen horrible things going on. And I want to talk specifically also, we have to always remind ourselves that if this country stole Puerto Rico from the Puerto Rican people, and it doesn't take care of Puerto Rico, and it doesn't do anything for it when it's in its darkest hour, then why the fuck does Puerto Rico owe its allegiance to the United States if they're leaving them to starve and die in this situation? I know that we're all obsessed with ignorant comments that are made, with stupid shit that people say in the media, but remember that it's always a distraction because we're not having the most important conversations, ladies and gentlemen. What the fuck is going on in Puerto Rico? What the fuck is going on in our country, ladies and gentlemen? We will continue to fight for the rights of every individual. I love y'all. Thank you very much. You doing one more? All right. Drop that. Take you out of here. I love y'all, man. Drop that. Put your hands up, put your fucking hands up. I'm on the border of Bolivia. I'm supposed to be attacked to be ready to spirit of my people and soul. Broken and sweat, keeping it out. Revolution, looking at my machete. With the one ball, too heavy to rise up at all. If I ran away, only probably turn about all. So I pray to have some things to when I go to the business. Process the conflict next year, make my position. It's just getting my product before we chop off your hands. The world is this God, I got the power to shoot a copper. And I get charged, it would be sad to see the family get from the fire squad. So feed your kids, I need these bricks. 40 tons of total, let me test it with AI. Shit, this is good, pass me the tissue. And don't worry about that, I'm paid off the hip. Yo, it's like I'm working in the hood. It's really good, so I work to the hood. Who fucking crank me up? Who is I? Give me a yay, like Mike. Don't play with my yay, yo. Stop in the back. Stop in the back. Listen, we say Peruvian. Y'all say cold. Peruvian, cold. Peruvian, cold. But we say Peruvian. Y'all say cold. Peruvian, cold. Peruvian, cold. Peruvian, cold. Peruvian, cold. Peruvian. 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 Peruvian, we smoke. Thank you very much. Before I leave, make some noise for my brother Poison Pen in the building. Best Stop Brooklyn, what up? Make some noise for my brother DJ Static. You're gonna do something for him before we get out of here? Alright. Make some noise for my brother DJ G.I. Joe in the building. Surprise! This is the producer extraordinaire, produced most of the shit that you heard tonight. My brother Sal.
Hi everyone, welcome to Act TV's live coverage of New York City's Cannabis March and Rally. The New York City Cannabis Parade is the longest running public demonstration for the reform of drug policy in New York City and around the world. There's going to be speakers, we'll bring those to you live, and there's also going to be what usually turns out to be a very colorful parade in support of cannabis legalization. Stay tuned.
That set up this stage for the security. Make some noise for the... Hold up. Make some noise for the sound man and all the people that set up everything here. And make some noise for the volunteers that gotta clean this shit the fuck up when y'all motherfuckers leave. Make some noise. And make some noise for the niggas handing out free weed. Alright? Them generous niggas. Generous niggas, man. Are you ready? Yeah, nigga. You ready? Alright. My brother DJ Static is gonna show you the difference in between a clown that presses a button on the radio and a real DJ. You ready? Are you ready? Rock that! Make some motherfucking noise for DJ Static and DJ G.I. Joe. Make some noise, NYC Cannabis Parade. My name is Immortal Technique. You can find me online, IG, Tech Immortal, whatever. I love y'all. I'll be in the crowd smoking with y'all motherfuckers, man. I love y'all, man. Shout to Viper Records. We sponsor the hemp car. Runs on hemp oil. Research that hemp car. That shit is real. You find out why they're making y'all niggas burn gas. Yo, who does Mike go to? I mean, I could be here all night, my nigga, but they don't want to hear that. I love y'all. Thank you very much. I love you. Can I get a little shout out for Immortal Technique? Thank you so much for coming to this year's New York City Cannabis Parade. Thank you to our sponsors, Sensi Seed, Etain, Current Rolling Papers, and Flower Power Coffee for making this possible. Now, we need to free the plant so we can free the people. So when I say legalize, can you say cannabis? Legalize! 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 Next up to the stage, I'm bringing up Christina and Rebecca. Both are members of the New York Cannabis Bar Association. Give us a little legal on the New York cannabis. And, oh, here they come. So give them a big round of applause. Let's get this, keep this day going. And remember, you are all cannabis culture because all cultures use cannabis.
What up, New York? How is everyone doing? I'm Christina, and this is Rebecca, and we're from the New York Cannabis Bar Association, which is a group of lawyers that are dedicated to the implementation of a regulated, comprehensive adult use cannabis program in New York. Woo! And in addition to that, we're also for the expansion of medical cannabis in New York so that all New Yorkers who need it can get it. And we're so excited to be here today and to be in full support of the Marijuana Regulation Taxation Act, also known as MRTA or MRTA, which is the current legislation that's active in the New York legislature.
Now, the MRTA is a pretty badass law. It's going to create a sensible cannabis industry in New York State, which I frankly think we can all agree is way overdue.
Yes.
It's going to allow 21 year or older to consume cannabis within a regulated framework, creating jobs and tax revenue for the state.
Yes.
Maybe we might actually be able to, fix the subway with the taxes. But just as importantly, this law is going to expunge the record for certain nonviolent cannabis offenses. It's going to create re-entry support for people that are formerly incarcerated. It's going to provide resources to communities that have historically suffered under the prohibition of cannabis. And it is going to require industry diversification so that cannabis in New York State is truly an inclusive industry. And basically, it means that the people that have fought with their lives and the communities that have been the battleground of this drug war, they aren't left behind.
That's right. That's right. We're also working towards expanding medical cannabis because we want to see that program grow. And again, all New Yorkers who believe that they can benefit from medical cannabis should be allowed to experiment with medical cannabis. But you know what? In order to grow that program, we need everyone's help today. We need to hear your stories so we can fight for you.
So if you suffer from a condition that qualifies for medical cannabis in other states but not in New York, we need to hear from you.
If you are a medical cannabis patient who's concerned about losing your access to public housing, contact us. We need to hear from you.
If you fear being certified for medical cannabis because it might affect your immigration status, you need to contact us.
If you're worried about how your status as a medical cannabis patient impacts your parental rights, call us. We want to speak with you.
If you are on parole and you qualify for medical cannabis, but you're afraid for fear of prosecution, contact us.
If you're a doctor who wants to recommend medical cannabis to your patients, but you're prevented from using your own discretion to do so, contact us. We want to talk to you.
And if you are a patient who can't use your health insurance to pay for your medicine, or frankly, if you can't afford the insanely high prices for medical cannabis in New York State, contact us.
We are the New York Cannabis Bar Association, and we're here for you, New York. We want you to contact us, email us, text us, find us at nycannabar.org and tweet us at nycannabar. Don't hold it against us that we failed to bring a banner listing that out. We want to hear from you.
Absolutely. And please don't forget to contact your state senator or your local assemblyman and let them know that you support the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act. And if they don't support it, they don't get your vote.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to our coalition partners in the back. Make sure you check them out. A lot of good information back there. So next that we have coming up on the stage is, are we ready? We have Howie Hawkins, the Green Party candidate for governor of New York State.
Good afternoon. I'm from Syracuse. It's great to be in New York City. I'm a teacher, but I just retired, so it's great to have free time. Woo! And I want to thank Steve Moon, Troy Smith, and Noah Power for putting on this event. And I come from a long line of Greens that have been fighting for the legalization of marijuana for over 20 years. We had Grandpa Al Lewis, remember him, Grandpa Munster? Woo! Running for governor along with Dr. Alice Green, civil rights leader in Albany. 1998, calling for legalization of marijuana and the end to the war on drugs and mass incarceration. In those last 20 years, 800,000 New Yorkers have been busted for marijuana. That's almost 1 in 20 of us. Almost all of us have had family affected on access to housing, jobs, and education. And we're about to get to the point where we can begin to change that. Now the politicians are jumping on the bandwagon. We're moving toward legalization. And now the problem is we got to do it right. You know, when we let them do housing, what happens? They shut down the affordable housing, take away your rent control, bring in the rich folks, and you got nowhere to live. And they call that housing. Or they cut taxes on the rich, and then they don't give money to the MTA, and let Wall Street use it as an ATM and make a lot of money on interest. That's what happens if we don't legalize marijuana the right way. The right way is we got to keep out big pharma, big tobacco, big liquor, big agribusiness.
That's right.
And let the people do the business. I see the people who can do the business. You the people that know how to do that business, because you've been doing it. We got to encourage organic. So you're not taking in the stuff you don't want to take it in, you're taking in the stuff you want to take in. We got to legalize industrial hemp. You know, you talk about reefer madness. What about the madness of banning an industrial crop that produces great food and fiber? We got to let any grower grow industrial hemp. We got to have a homegrown. If it's not traded in the market, just let it be. No taxation. But where it's commercial, just use regular sales tax. We don't see legalization of marijuana as a cash cow for the state. It's about freedom, justice, and health.
With the pride, the joy, the honor of introducing her. There she is, everyone. Round of applause. Let's hear it for Cynthia Nixon.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Union Square. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I'm Cynthia Nixon, and I'm running for governor of New York State. And I don't know whether you heard this or not, but I want to legalize cannabis in New York State. And I want to do it first and foremost because it's a racial justice issue. If you are black or Latino, you are 10 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis than if you are white. And that's not right. That's not what we believe in New York. And that's not what we should believe in the United States of America. It will follow you for the rest of your life, that arrest, and it will make
It is King Ross Pedro. Come on over here, man. And he's an entertainer, he's an icon, he's an extraordinary...
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching our coverage of the Cannabis Rally and March Parade here in New York City. I'm happy to be able to talk with Executive Director of the Cannabis Cultural Association, Nelson Guerrero. Nelson, thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So can you talk a little bit? I know this is such a great event. Can you talk a little bit about what the Cannabis Cultural Association is and does?
Yeah, so the Cannabis Cultural Association, or CCA for short, the good CCA, is the 501c3 nonprofit based here in New York. What we're really about is empowering, educating, advocating for people of color to get involved in the legal cannabis industry and space. We focus a lot on ending the stigma and creating some social justice change as it pertains to cannabis and people of color. Because unfortunately, we make up the prison system when it comes to the plant, but don't make up the legal industry, and that's what we're really trying to change. That's what we're all about.
I noticed that before we started the interview, you and I were talking about the desire to change the narrative around both this parade and cannabis in general. Can you talk a little bit about that?
100%. So, you know, a lot in the media when it comes to cannabis, it's usually the bong, the big giant joints. The reason the CCA got involved this year with the parade and rally is to try to change that narrative, to actually put a different face on this movement going forward and make it really about social change, to get people active, to get politically involved and create change that really needs to happen around this plant. You know, that's what our organization strives for. And this year specifically is to really change that message that, look, this is a movement and it's more than just about getting high at the park. This is about creating a change and sparking it here in New York, because what New York does, the rest of the world seems to follow. If we can really start changing that message, our legislative administration will hopefully do right by the people and legalize this plant here in the city and get our brothers and sisters out of jail.
I noticed that in the Facebook page about the event, it talked about, you know, the prison system. And can you give people a little bit of, I'm sure people who are watching probably know this, but if they don't, can you talk about the connection between cannabis and prison?
Yeah, I mean, cannabis has been used systematically for the last 80 plus years to arrest black and brown folks, unfortunately. It's for minor arrests. And here in New York, we have thousands of people getting arrested at a disproportional rate. If you're African American, you're 6 times more likely to get stopped for consuming cannabis. If you're Latino, like myself, you're 4 times more likely. And depending on which neighborhood you live in, it's on the officer's discretion. Even though we do have decrim here in New York, at an officer's discretion determines whether or not you're going to be arrested and brought downtown. And, you know, a cannabis arrest is a misdemeanor or felony in most cases, and that can really hurt you when it comes to housing, scholarship opportunities, and really can affect you going forward. And, you know, if you're not don't have the economic know-how and legal know-how, these arrests, even though minor, could change the entire trajectory of your life. That's what we're trying to change. And, you know, in our communities, cannabis is seen as a gateway to prison in many senses, and that's what we want to change that narrative to. That, you know, with this new legal green rush coming, to have our communities involved in more than just being part of, unfortunately, being part of the prison system, but being part of this legal new industry and moving it forward, because this is what will create reparations and equity for our communities moving forward.
Can you talk a little bit about the impact on people who use cannabis, marijuana, et cetera, for health?
Thank you, Amanda. We're pleased to be here. I'm Stu Zakum. I'm the Communications Director of the Marijuana Business Association, the MJBA. We've been around for 5 years. We started in Seattle when Seattle went adult use, and we've been following the wave of legalization across the country. We've been on the East Coast for quite a few years too, and we're thrilled to be part of this active New York community. That's what really makes this industry unique, that we're all part of a community. And we support our other groups that are all here today, whether it's High New York, Cannagather, Women Grow. We're all in there for the same thing. And, of course, the CCA. We can't forget the CCA and the great job they've done being our host tonight. What we do is we educate and we connect. And we support our members. And one example is Michael O'Malley, who is the creator of one of the most amazing rolling papers you've had. In fact, if you like to roll joints, you'll never go back to something else after you use his papers. So without further ado, and one of the sponsors of today, allow me to introduce my friend, Michael O'Malley.
Hey, hello, New York. Hey, hello, cannabis community. Hey, I want to thank Steve Bloom for inviting me to represent innovators and entrepreneurs in the cannabis space. He was the first one to write he was the first one to write a product review of curved papers. I invented a new kind of rolling papers. They're curved, so it makes it easy to roll. I got one fun fact. The first big rally in Union Square happened on 4/20. It was April 20th, 1861. You guys know who NORML is? Yeah, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Law, NORML. We need them more now than ever. They're like the New York Yankees of legal weed. And Keith Sharp is like the Babe Ruth of legal weed. Keith says we're not just talking about marijuana, we're talking about personal freedom. Okay, look, they say there's red people and blue people. We need a big red, white, and blue party. Even Met fans and Yankee fans should get along.
Look at that fashion statement. A true New Yorker.
Everybody get along. Happy Cannabis Parade. CurtPapers.com. Check it out.
Go MJBA.
MJBA says pop culture is pop
Thanks
culture.
for watching our coverage of the Cannabis Rally and March Parade.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. Remember the Kentucky Derby.
We need a t-shirt gun.
Good Shabbos.
Mike and Stu, thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated.
CCA, normal.
Woo! Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Speaking of thanking, guys, there's a group that is about to come up that represents something very important to me, very important to all of us. I'm talking about our veterans. We couldn't do what we're doing today if it wasn't for our veterans. So I want to bring up two very important veterans in the movement right now. One's a good friend of mine, Leo Bridgewater and Mike Wider, both Iraq War veterans. Leo is president of NY and NJ chapters for minorities for medical cannabis, and Mike makes videos for Now This.
What up, New York City? All right, so check it out. Y'all remember me from last year? We gonna do the same thing. Take out your damn phones and put it on video, because we about to have a motherfucking moment. And my man Mike Wider right here, he about to set the ambiance and the tone as I begin to talk. Because right now, where we are, we still at 22 veteran suicides a day, y'all. Half of that is the Vietnam veterans. So did you know that since the time the Vietnam War has been over 130 Vietnam veterans have committed suicide? And y'all paid for that. They passing them pills out at the VA like it's candy. So how many other ways do you need to hear what you already know? How many more statistics and all that stuff do you need to hear to know what to do next? Okay, see, talk time over. Turn around and look at yourselves, because this is what the industry is going to look like. Now, I'm also co-founding member of the New Jersey Cannabis Commission. As you all know, New Jersey's getting ready to go legal real quick. You're welcome, New York. You are welcome. Everybody here knows that you will not be where you are in this conversation if New Jersey was not doing what we're about to do. And the next step is marching orders, right, Mike? What do you do next? You plug into the networks that have been putting in the groundwork. Networks like the New Jersey Cannabis Commission, Minorities for Medical Marijuana, Women Grow, Cannabis Cultural Association. These are the organizations that have been putting in that groundwork and talking to these legislative officials. We ain't just yelling, y'all. We're breathing some very rare air. So what do we do next? Make a damn phone call. I need all of y'all. I need all of y'all to call your elected officials down in D.C. so we can get some damn teeth to Senator Cory Booker's Marijuana Justice Reform Act. It's looking to deschedule, to take it off the schedule altogether. Automatic record expungement? Yeah, that's going down in Jersey too. But I need your help. Our organizations need your help. And oh yeah, by the way, yeah, you're still at 22 veteran suicides a day. I'm past the point of trying to preach and all that stuff there, but I'm kicking the goddamn door and shit. How many more of us gotta go before we start actually moving? I'm done, hold on, here go Mike.
New York City, what's happening? Hey, so I'm Mike Wider. I am a USMC vet from Philadelphia, and I'm sitting up here smoking a joint right now. And most of you guys should be too. Because you know what's coming up in 10 minutes? 420, baby. And you know what? This shit doesn't end here. Keep smoking these joints. Keep doing this shit. Make it normal. It needs to be normalized. So, I was in the Marines for 11 years. When I came home from Iraq, I was diagnosed with PTSD and put on 40 different medications for anxiety, for stress, for depression, for pain, and I knocked out all those pills with weed. This plant saved my life, and it's saving thousands of other veterans' lives too. And you know what? Most of these New York cops that are here are probably vets. And I bet a lot of you are over-medicated by the VA. As we speak, you guys are probably on Lexapro and Klonopin and all that other bullshit that's killing you, and it's making you worse. So you know what? Fuck what your boss says, and light up one of these, and change your life. Because that's what happened to me. I lit up a joint, I got off the fucking pills, and look at me now. Try to stop me. Try to stop me. That's it, I'm good.
So with that, everybody, we now are on our 444. It's time for you to get on your 444. And those who know what I'm talking about, let's go. Just come see us. You can find me on Facebook at Leo Bridgewater. You can also find me with the New Jersey Cannabis Commission.org. You can also go with Minorities for Medical Marijuana and also Leaf Launch. Thank you.
Go to any NJ Cannabis event, and you can find Leo. He's always there. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. So, folks, I want to introduce two very important people in the movement. Actually, Joy is also a very personal hero of mine. Both are members of the NORML Board of Directors. Joy Beckerman is president of the Hemp Industry Association, and Rick Cusick is the former publisher of High Times and the former Cannabis Parade and Rally MC. That's a damn good gig, guys. Hey, please, come on up, guys. Woo! New York! New York City! Give it up for New York now! 1, 2, 3! Give it up for New York! 1, 2, 3! That's it! Hi, my name is Rick Cusick, and this is my great friend Joy Beckerman. And the thing you got to know is that both of us are on the board of directors of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. You got to know that you are board, right, on the HIA, the Hemp Industries Association. Now, what you got to know is 20 years ago, I met her when I first started at High Times magazine. I was the associate publisher for many years, but that goes back before that. You see this right here? I've been smoking weed for 45 years. And I used to buy weed when I was 15 years old, right there. I was part of the bridge and tunnel tribe. When I come over here, I get my bag of weed, I go home, I get high. That's how it was done in 1971. And then I got high for a lot of years. And then the truth is, I started writing about weed, one of the first people I met. With Joy Beckerman. Joy Beckerman had a little head shop up in Woodstock, New York. Hemp store in Woodstock, New York, right? And every time you come in Woodstock, New York, she'd take a little stamp and she'd sit up on George Washington's face. I grew hemp. And she got shit from the U.S. Secret Service. The U.S. Secret Service. And we gave this U.S. Secret Service shit about them giving her shit.
Mutilating U.S. currency.
There you go. So I'm going to introduce Troy in a minute, but you got to know, we go back a long time, and I go back right to there from 1971 where I started getting high. And then I went from there to writing about Joy Beckerman. And then I went from there to working for High Times. And then I went from there to starting a medical cannabis company with Whoopi Goldberg, Whoopi and Maya. I'm a co-founder of Whoopi and Maya. A great New Yorker, Whoopi Goldberg. And now I'm back here, and we're going. New Jersey is about to legalize, and I'm back home in New Jersey. I can't believe this journey. I can't believe we're here. You folks have no idea what the last 40 years has been like. Inches by inches by inches. And here's the thing I got to tell you. Now I got to give it up to Joy. Nothing happens that isn't incremental. Nothing that it doesn't last
takes short time. It takes a long time to make it happen. I am sitting here. I was running from the police 40 years ago, and I'm on the stage here now saying we can smoke weed in a few minutes. Here. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for my great friend, and knows a lot more about this than I know at this point in the game, Joy Beckerman.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Those are stories from the early 90s, guys. Here we are. I called it the Hempire State in the 90s, and everyone told me I was crazy. We actually live in the Hempire State now. So we have to work very hard, obviously, for an improved medical cannabis platform as well as adult use. I moved back here after 19 years in Seattle and gave up legal weed to come back here, but I came into a very rich hemp state. New York is the only state that has put $1 in grant funds into their very robust hemp program, and they put $10 million. The state of New York, a lot of folks aren't aware that our government has put $10 million in this state to reintroduce the versatile, valuable hemp crop. And when I talk about the industrial hemp crop, I'm talking that cannabis is here to serve all of humanity's needs. So human and animal nutrition, body care, nutraceuticals, bioplastics, paper, textiles, fuel, industrial sealants and coatings, nanotechnologies, energy, and supercapacitors. Industrial hemp will invigorate the American farmer and the small farmer and create an industrial revolution of epic proportions while healing the soil. So we have 2 federal bills that have every chance in the world of completely legalizing industrial hemp across this great nation and commercializing it as an agricultural commodity. So what I need you to do, this action call today, and I want you to know, our own U.S. Senator Schumer in the last 24 hours has co-sponsored this bill, S-2667, the Hemp Farming Act of 2018. Also, the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, has employed a Rule 14, which is going to allow this bill to skip the committee process entirely and go straight to the floor to be heard. This is highly unusual, and our strongest political actors in Congress right now are using all of their political might to push this Hemp Farming Act through. I need you to go to hempsupporter.com. That's hempsupporter.com. Click the resources tab, and very quickly, in 1 minute or less, you'll send letters to your federal representatives here in New York and your federal representatives, your federal senators from here in New York, and ask them to co-sponsor this bill. Guys, we are the people. If the people lead, the leaders will follow, and they don't know what to do if we don't make our voices heard. And tell them this is what we need you to do. We don't make their agenda. We don't make their list of priorities unless we make our own voices heard. On behalf of the Hemp Industries Association, founded in 1994, and on behalf of NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, founded in 1970, please engage in the legislative process, guys, and make your voices heard. Go New York!
John, let me tell you something. The woman's my inspiration. And now, anybody know what time it is? It's not 1:20 yet, is it? No! Tell me exactly. Tell me exactly. We all got the same damn watch, right? Okay, 4:18. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a trip down. Thing is, I say, look, everything's changed and it's so fucking awesome now, and it is fucking awesome now. But you gotta remember one thing, it ain't over. And just because we're here in New York in the great metropolitan area, and just because they're doing things in California and Colorado that are awesome, doesn't mean they're not screwing things up in Mississippi for people. Doesn't mean they're not screwing things up in Texas for people. People are still going to jail. You're going to hear about a $5 billion marijuana industry that's going to emerge in New York State. But that's up against another number, and that is, remember this, they are still arresting 600,000 Americans for marijuana every year throughout the country. And it's not a puts the adrenaline in a stoner's heart right there, baby. Right there. The thing is, it's not for big time anymore. You know, they're not really going to jail. No, they're getting their lives intruded upon. They lose their jobs. They get drug tested. They have to go to court. They lose their families. They lose their loved ones. That's what happens when you get busted for weed. It ain't over yet. So what's the answer here? The answer is to join replacement reform of marijuana laws, which has just merged with normal. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get your smoke on, everybody!
This song is dedicated to all the marijuana smokers and stoners around the world, to the medical patients, the cancer patients. I want everybody to throw their hands in the air and say smoke. Everybody, listen to the...
Hi, everyone. You've been watching ACT TV's live coverage of New York City's cannabis parade and rally. This is the longest running public demonstration for the reform of drug policy, both in New York City and across the world. I hope you've heard something, learned something. And if you like this kind of coverage, don't forget to like our page on Facebook and share it with your friends. ACT TV, do more than watch.
Applause, let's hear it.